Hi everybody, I'm Ryan, and today we're going to talk about the legacy metagame over the course of the last week. As with all my metagames, it's technically a winner's metagame, but I am mixing in the win and oversized card from RC Hartford, because that was in the last week, and that was kind of the only paper major-ish legacy tournament that happened. But let's jump into it. This is the legacy metagame. At 11.3% of the metagame is Dimir Tempo. At 6.9%, Dimir Reanimator. At 6.3%, Beanstalk Control, not Yorion. Beanstalk Control. Also at 6.3% is the Oops All Spells deck, and rounding out the top 5 is the Death and Taxes Yorion, the mono white version, at 5.7%. If you want to look at this metagame a little bit longer, then feel free to pause the video, but we're going to jump right into it with the Death and Taxes Yorion.
You know what they say? The only things in life for certain are death, taxes, and white weenies. Wait.
So this is Yorion Death and Taxes. The mono white and the Orzhov version are kind of jammed together on the graph. I think I labeled it mono white, so I apologize for that. But essentially, it's just splashing black for Overload of the Bandwork, which gives a lot of long-term inevitability and the ability to get cards back and stuff like that. And Orcish Bowmasters, which punishes their opponent for drawing cards. But basically what this deck is doing is tearing apart their hand with Thoughtseize, is playing cards that tutor out other cards. It's basically a blink deck as well, with Felia being able to flash things in with Aether Vial, blink them with Flicker Wisp, and over the course of the game, gather so much value from every single card in the deck. And then if the game goes really, really long while you're hating out your opponent and all the things that they're doing, you get to cast Yorion.
What do you mean there's no lands? Then how do I cast my spells? I'll talk to my agent about this.
Oops All Spells is a deck that does not run any lands, runs only spells in the MDFC lands. What this deck is attempting to do is ramp mana via Simian Spirit Guide, via Elvish Spirit Guide, Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, all of that stuff, in order to cast an Undercity or the Balustrade Spy to mill their entire deck. And then before they draw that card, get some Narcomoebas back so that they can then Dread Return, a Thassa's Oracle, and win the game. It's a very good combo deck. It's effectively a one-card combo deck, and if you let that card resolve, you lose.
Listen to me. Beans.
Beanstalk Control is one of the premier control decks of Legacy. It's such a fun deck. It's centered around Up the Beanstalk, where if you cast something that costs 5 or greater, then you get to draw a card. And a lot of the cards in our deck actually cost 5 or greater, but we cast them for much less. So things like Leyline Binding that we can cast for 1, Force of Will that we can cast for nothing, Murktide Regent that we can cast for 2, all trigger Up the Beanstalk and let us get a ton of value while we're controlling our opponent and presenting threats. Dimir Reanimator just won't die, even though it's been banned into oblivion. This is a deck that I've talked about 100,000 other times. Basically, you're using cards to put Atraxa and sometimes Archon of Cruelty, sometimes Grizzlebrand into the graveyard, like with Entomb, and then reanimating them with Reanimate or Animate Dead as a very, very cheap way of presenting extremely powerful threats. And then behind that, they get to play a Dimir Tempo deck, which is just drawing cards, tearing apart their opponent's hand, killing things that are on the board, and playing creatures that are very valuable for their costs, like Murktide Regent, like Tamiyo, like Orcish Bowmasters.
See, I can keep tempo, punks. That was not good.
And then Dimir Tempo gets rid of that reanimation package. It plays a lot. Playing the reanimation package is very powerful, but it forces you to play a lot of cards that aren't necessarily that good unless you're actually doing the thing. And Dimir Tempo just like takes the tempo shell in the reanimator deck and plays more good tempo cards and threats like Nethergoyf, like Kaido, like even more Orcish Bowmasters, like even more counter magic, Daze, stuff like that. To just be a super focused Dimir Tempo deck to answer your opponent's threats for less mana than they're using and win the game on mana advantage. But that is the Legacy metagame. If you like this video, then please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.